Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another YouTube video. In this one, I want to talk about how to build your personal brand and actually how mine is capable of making me anywhere from 100 to 150, and in some cases even $200,000 in a single month. So I want to share, what I've learned growing my brand online, growing my, influence online, and some of the mistakes I've made, as well as how to do it quickly, how to do it the right way, and how to actually do it profitably. So let's get into it. So the first thing that I think is important to note is that personal branding is not a business model. It's a lead generation tool. So a lot of people think that by building your personal brand, you're just immediately going to make more money. But that's not actually the case. If you only have a $17 book and then like a $100 course and you have 1 million followers, odds are I actually still make more money than you, even with, the relatively small following that I currently have. Because we've got, higher ticket solutions to big problems, right? We help people start and grow businesses. We help them scale their existing businesses. And so because of that, I can actually make more with less attention. But that said, whether you have a very mass market product and you're just trying to get attention, or you have a very in-market, very niche product and you're trying to get attention, these concepts will apply to you. And eventually it will lead to you just getting messages from people. Like just today, I woke up to 2 or 3 messages from people saying, hey, I'd love to potentially get your help. Here's where I'm at. Anything we could figure out. And I just, set up meetings with them and we're going to chat about, what they need to do next, right? So how do you do it? How do you build a brand? Where do you start? What does it take? The first thing is understanding that, you don't just pick a niche, but you actually kind of have to build an identity around what you do. It's not just about how you come across online. It's about who you are. Do you see vision in what you do? Why do you do what you do? We live in a culture now where you can change niches or change specialties. I swear, I always get a fire truck or an ambulance when I'm recording. I live just down the street from a fire department, so it's constant all day. But that said, you don't just pick a niche just because it's one that you think is going to be profitable. I mean, you can do that, and that's, what a lot of people do, but you pick a niche because it's something that you think will be profitable, as well as something you think will be around long term, and something you can identify with, right? It's something that you actually care about, and maybe a service that you want to bring to the market, right? And I think people would change their niche a lot because, they're like, oh, this isn't working for me, I want to try something else, when in reality, any niche will work if you just have the right back end. So don't overthink your niche. My real point is don't change it. Pick one, stick to it for at least a year, 2, 3 years, and see where it gets you. Back when I was a photographer, I had some videos on this channel about wedding photography, and that fueled some sales for our programs. Then I'd be in Facebook groups prospecting in there as well, finding some potential clients for the programs, my coaching, etc. And if I'd have just stuck to that, I could be doing, $1 million a year in that niche, a whole year sooner than I got to $2 million a year in this niche. And I, at the time didn't realize that. I think I had this idea that, if I change my niche, I can make more money, but it's just not true. Looking back, I genuinely could say that was a bad decision. Purely from a finance, and purely from how much revenue I want to make. I don't think I'd necessarily be happy still working with photographers because I like solving, deep business problems for people. And a lot of photographers, it's a very simple business model. So I'm happy where I'm at, but I definitely think I'd be making more money if I'd have just stuck to the one, right? So another thing to think about too is it's not just about your niche, but it's actually about who you are. So you got to have a niche. That's kind of step one. The second one is, what's your story? My story is I, got started when I was 16, 17 as a photographer. I was shooting weddings, shooting engagement photos, shooting portrait photos, making probably $2 or $3 grand a month doing that, maybe $4 grand a month. Lost all of my gear in a house fire, which caused me to completely reset. And then I, had to refund 10 grand in weddings that I had contracted. So that sucked. And I was 17. So I figured out, all right, if I refunded all this money, I've got no startup capital at that point. I was literally negative in my bank account by $3 grand. I had no gear. And the insurance check was coming a year from now. So I couldn't just wait on insurance to pay for all my stuff because I didn't want to sit around doing nothing for a year. So I eventually got the check back a year later, but in between then and where I was, I had to figure out a new model. So I decided, all right, I'm going to help other photographers grow their business, because even though I was only making $4 or $5 grand a month, maybe $3 grand a month, I was still ultimately ahead of a lot of people because, even if I could just get started, there's a lot of people that just don't know how to get started. So I heard this quote, and it said, if you're one step ahead of your market, you can sell them that step. So that's when I got into Facebook groups, got on YouTube, made content, and really had no idea what I was doing. You might sound like I had an idea of what I was doing, might sound like I knew, but honestly, I literally just had a link in the description to this course. It was like $300, and that's when I realized, all right, there's some real power here. So things evolved and shift and change, and now we help people set up similar processes in their business where we help them come up with an offer, come up with a solution, get on the phone and sell it, or sell it through a webinar, whatever it is. We help them productize their expertise, right? So that's my story. That series of events has led to today, where, our biggest week was a $55,000 profit single week. Our biggest month was, last month, almost $150,000 total contracted revenue. And that's our story, right? So what's your story? What has you doing what you do? What's been the journey for you? What's your goals, your vision for your company? Why should people listen to you? These are important questions to ask when you're building your brand, because people don't just want to listen because of some, expertise you have. They might listen purely because of the expertise, but a majority of people want to listen because of the expertise mixed with who you are and why you do what you do. Because the expertise isn't enough at the end of the day to really build a relationship, right? Like if you're working with a therapist, you kind of want to know, like, what's the therapist's personal life? Like, are they married? Are they not? Like, who are they friends with? Like, what do they do? Like, you want to know who you're working with, because it's kind of weird to just talk to a brick wall, right? So if you can be vulnerable and share your story, people will be more excited to work with you, and that's actually going to be your competitive advantage against other people, is people resonating with your story. One of the most important aspects of my story is it took me 1.5 years to make my first $10,000. So a lot of people will look at our growth and look at my journey and say, oh, I can't be like Trey. Like, he obviously had it figured out from day one. I didn't. It took me a long time to figure this stuff out, and a lot of trial and error. But as I started to figure it out, I just simply did what worked on repeat. So I'd figure out what would work, and then I'd just do it again, and then again, and then again. And that's the only reason I do YouTube now. It's why I have my personal brand, is because it works. It drives revenue. Our clients are happy. I like putting out content. And so, there's a whole trifecta of reasons why, I'm just doing this over and over again now, right? Now today we're about to launch some advertisements, because we know that YouTube ads have worked really well for us. So we're going to do that as well. So niche and story. Those are two huge ones, all right? So really think about, what's your story? How can you tell it in a way that, resonates with your market? How can you explain what you do in a way that people appreciate and want more of, and in a way that guides people to you, right? And I think it's important to demonstrate who you are as well. Like, for example, one of the things that I did is I bought my mom a $10,000 watch, because I wanted to demonstrate, not just to her, but also to our audience, that, like, the only thing that I really care about at the end of the day is security for my loved ones. Like, that is my primary motivator. And, I plan on doing things like paying off my parents' mortgage. I plan on doing things and doing them publicly, not just to gloat, but to show, look, this is why I do what I do. And hopefully that message inspires other people as well. So it's important to actually demonstrate publicly your value structure, who you are, because I think people will be more attracted to that at the end of the day. So niche, story, and lastly, you want to build an offer, and the offer should relate to your story in a major way. It should be something that makes sense for who you were before you went through your transformation. Like, if I had, when I was getting started, it took me, 1.5 years to do my first 10 grand. If I had the offer that we have today, it would have taken me 2 months to make my first 10 grand, and then I would have been flying. And I would be 3 times as big as I am today if I had the help that we offer either beginners or semi-established people, that 10 to 20,000 a month level of coaches, consultants, experts, agency owners, whatever it is that you do, right? If I had this offer, I'd be much further ahead. So your story should make sense with your offer. Who you are should tie into your offer very, very well. And if you can make a tie and say, look, if I had what I'm offering you at this point, I'd be further. That's how you should build your offer. It shouldn't just be some random idea of, like, hey, you know what? I run a business and I just want to do business coaching. It's like, that's not deep enough. How'd you start the business? What do you guys bring in? What have been your highs and lows of the business? What have been the mistakes you've made? What have been the successes you've made? What are the clients' results you're getting? What's the full story? And then how does that relate to the offer? And there's really 2 types of offers, or I'd say actually 3. There's a one-to-one. so you can actually work with somebody one-on-one and help coach them. If you're to work with me one-on-one, it starts at a multiple 5-figure rate, and we'll just come in and consult everything. You get to work with myself, my team, and we'll just help you build everything out for your business. That's where we help people get to like $400,000 a month in their business, right? It's very intensive work. And then we've got a group program, and this is what I recommend you have as well, where we've got daily support in our program, and you could offer that by just bringing on successful clients as coaches, which is what we've done. And it's a very simple model where you can just essentially pass down the methods and the ideas and the strategies that are working to new clients, pre-record content. We've got like 30 hours of material plus all the group calls that we've ever had in the program pre-recorded. So that's how we do it, and you can maybe just model that. It's very simple, it's very easy to run, and it's actually a lot of fun. People get great results. And then lastly, there's the course model, which is anywhere from like a $300 price tag to like $1,000, maybe $2,000 price tag for just an online course where people can do what you've been able to do. It's very simple, and building your personal brand is about having a story, having a niche, and having an offer. And then lastly, it's about building your audience. An audience is built just with reputation, time, consistency, as well as understanding the algorithm that you're working with. So if you're on YouTube, like this video is, it's also probably going to end up on LinkedIn, Facebook, potentially Instagram. It's going to end up on a few places. You have to understand the algorithm you're working with. So with YouTube, I know that YouTube really favors videos that have a good watch time. So videos that are watched, at least 10 minutes on average is a really good metric for YouTube to see. If they can see that people watch your videos for a good amount of time, they'll recommend it to more people. You'll grow your channel and things will do well. The other thing is, optimizing my videos for search engine optimization. So SEO, making sure that the title of the video actually will rank when people search for keywords or topics that I want to help people with. So if you are a weight loss coach, making sure that you can actually rank for that keyword is as simple as, doing some competitor research, looking at the videos that have done well for them, modeling their most popular videos, and maybe just having your own spin on it and telling your story within that piece of content. So that's just some strategies for organic marketing. You can also join Facebook groups, tell your story there, share your experience, maybe groups within your niche, join 20, 30 groups, share your story, add some friends, and then treat your own Facebook profile as, the place to market and source leads and make sales. So it's a very simple model. Using Facebook alone, I grew my business to $15,000, $20,000 a month. Facebook plus YouTube, back then I was doing, 10, 20, 30,000 a month. The big difference between then and now is just upgrading our services, making them, more valuable, making them more beginner friendly as well. And then also, just getting better at getting results for clients, because it's all about results. Like, your brand is one thing, but you can't build a business purely off of your brand. If you're in some form of coaching or consulting, you actually have to be getting the results for your clients that they're paying you for. And if you can do that, then you're good to go. It doesn't matter the format of your content. It doesn't matter how you deliver it. It's about the result, right? So if you have good results, you've got a good story, and then you've got good clients and their stories, you can look at our channel. We've got tons of results. Then you have the authority, you have the pull, and you have the leverage to offer something to people. So if this all makes sense, go implement, see what it does for your business. That's how I've grown my personal brand to a point where it makes me, over $1 million a year in profit, by 21 years old. I mean, it's a pretty cool topic to get to talk about. It's very simple stuff at the end of the day. You can see how all these pieces tie together and how they've been able to completely transform my life. And as we teach these concepts to our clients, transform theirs as well. So thanks so much for watching. Hopefully you've enjoyed. Be sure to leave a like down below. Comment any of your thoughts or any questions you have, and message us on Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, anywhere if you have any questions. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.